Hello everyone and welcome to this introduction to the IELTS exam. I would like to introduce myself as well. My name is Tiziana, as you can see, and I've been teaching English for 17 years, the past 4 years in Cambridge, here in the UK. I teach IELTS at different levels and I really hope I can help you improve. With this first video, I just want to give people who don't know the IELTS exam very well an introduction about the structure of the exam. First of all, if you're thinking about taking the IELTS exam, you need to make a choice. Are you going to take the academic exam or the general exam? The academic exam is mainly used, or people usually want to take the academic exam if they want to go to a university in an English-speaking country, or also in some European universities, a lot of lessons are taught in English. They might require an IELTS score of generally 6.5. The general IELTS is usually useful for work or just for for somebody to have a qualification to show. There are 4 parts to the IELTS exam: listening, reading, writing and speaking. Now the 2 different exams, of course, they have some differences. The listening part of the exam is the same for academic and general English. The reading part is different, where in the academic exam there will be more academic style texts, similar to what a student might read at university during their course. The writing exam is partly different and partly the same. Task 1 is different, task 2 is an essay, and it's the same for both exams. And the speaking is also the same for both exams. So the first part of the exam on exam day will be the listening. The listening consists in 40 questions divided into 4 parts. The exam starts with part 1 being the easiest part of the exam and part 4 being the hardest. It takes all in all 40 minutes and 10 minutes to transfer your answers onto an answer sheet, which looks like this. You will have 40 spaces. Be careful to read the instructions carefully as to what you have to put in here. Remember that the examiners will mark the answer sheet. They will not look at the question paper. So if you make spelling mistakes when you transfer the answers, I'm afraid that will be a mistake and a wrong answer. The second part will be the reading. There are also 40 questions and there will be 3 parts. Generally, the first reading will be easier than the last reading, and you will have 60 minutes to complete all the tasks. There is no extra time to transfer the answers onto the answer sheet, which looks very similar, not exactly the same as the listening answer sheet. And there will be different types of reading for the academic and the general English exam. The third part is the writing. Now the writing, as I said, is different in task 1. So task 1 academic IELTS, you will have to describe a chart, a map, a process or a graph and write 150 words about that. In the general English IELTS task 1, you will have to write a formal letter. Both tasks will need to be at least 150 words long. The recommended time for task 1 is 20 minutes and task 2 40 minutes, but you have 1 hour to do both tasks. Task 2 is the same for both academic and general English, and you will be asked to write an essay in semi-formal academic styles, and you will be required to write at least 250 words. After the writing there will be a break, and then you will have to go back to do your speaking exam. The speaking exam takes usually about 15 minutes and it's divided into 3 tasks. Task 1 is an interview where the examiner will ask you familiar questions. For example, where are you from? Tell me about your family. Tell me about your house. What do you do in your free time? So questions that are relatively easy to answer. And you will need to expand your answers, but we will have a lesson about that in one of the next videos that I'm going to publish. Task 2 is the long term. Long term means you will be given a task. You will have 1 minute to prepare and you will be expected to speak between 1 and 2 minutes without hesitation or without repetition and trying to show your best English. The topic is usually a topic that you will also be familiar with. It might be something like, tell me about or think about a time when you started something new, and you will need to answer the question by giving maybe explanation about what this new thing was, why you started doing it, how you felt about it, so that you can stretch your answer to 2 minutes. And the last part will be a discussion. The examiner will ask you questions that may be related to the task 2 speaking, and you will be asked to answer the question in general, not just talking about examples about your life, but you will be required to be able to discuss the topics in the questions in an abstract, more general way. Now, the IELTS exam is very daunting. It can be difficult, it can be stressful, and so a lot of my students often ask, where do I start? What should I do first? Well, there is not something that you can do first, but in my opinion, these are the things that you should do continuously. I think reading is very important. Not just reading IELTS exam samples, but just reading general topics, reading the newspaper, reading books, and not only reading for vocabulary and for grammar, but just reading for the sake of gathering information from different sources. It's very important to understand the requirements of the exam. So what does the exam want me to do? How do I have to do my writing? How do I have to do my speaking? A teacher can help you understand what the requirements are. It's very useful to listen to real English. There are a lot of useful websites that I will talk to you about in my future videos. Listening to real English doesn't necessarily mean watching movies. In movies there are a lot of dialogues, while in the IELTS listening there will be also lectures, so people speaking for a long time, like I'm doing now. One of the biggest problems that some of my students have is the ability to think critically. We will also have a lesson about that. So in discussion questions and in your essay, in the speaking and in the writing, they might ask you questions that you never thought about. If you learn to think critically, you will be able to answer on the spot, even questions that at the moment you think are very difficult to answer, even in your own language. Vocabulary in contest, I strongly believe that vocabulary and having good active and passive vocabulary is the most important thing that you can learn, that you can practice to help you improve your English and your IELTS. And also get feedback from a teacher. It's very difficult to understand if your speaking and your writing, especially when you practice, are of good quality. If you get feedback from an experienced teacher, you can have a good idea. So this was the end of my introduction to the IELTS exam. I just wanted to show you the structure of the exam so that you can now start thinking about where to start. In my next lesson, I will post a video on the IELTS Academic Writing Task 1, in particular describing tables, and I will focus mainly on the introduction and the overview. Now, if you want feedback on your IELTS writing, you can get it from me. I charge £5 per task, and I will give you feedback within 2 days. You can send your Word document to the address below, and I will email you with details for the payment. So I hope this was useful, and I'll see you for the next video on IELTS Academic Writing Task 1. Bye bye!